Countertops can be made from many different materials, like natural stone, quartz, solid surfacing, and laminate. But if you're ready to tackle a challenging do-it-yourself project, you could also make your custom countertops from concrete. Concrete is durable and it can replicate the look of stone. It offers many color variations, and you can even embed tile, glass, or stones for a unique look. Concrete is often a little thicker than other countertops, so it may increase the height of your counters. And that could reduce the space between a countertop and the wall cabinets. So keep in mind that some building codes require an 18-inch space between the tops of your counters and the bottoms of your upper cabinets. To get started, you could measure all of the dimensions for each countertop section, but it's usually more accurate to create physical templates with strips of plywood and a hot glue gun.
So what we do is we take this 1/4-inch Luan, and we run it around the perimeter of the countertop in the kitchen. So we have the faces of the countertop, we have the walls and the sides. Everywhere that these pieces intersect, we put a bead of hot glue and we stick them together. When we're done with that, we label all of it so that we know what things go where.
Once the template is created, you'll need to build a form, which is basically a mold for the concrete. The bottom and sides of the form are made from a special type of board called melamine.
Melamine is particle board with a thermofoil face on it. The reason why we use that is because it's smooth and waterproof.
All right.
Now, these are going to be the sides of our countertop. They're 2 inches thick. We're going to have a 2-inch thick countertop. We ripped these down earlier.
Measure and cross-cut the strips to length. You'll want to miter the inside corners of the countertop to ensure that the wet concrete does not touch the exposed particle board. Put all the side pieces tight to the template and use silicone caulk in the joints. Then, screw the side pieces to the bottom of the form or just use more hot glue to hold them in place. Remove the template and apply paste wax around the inside edge of the form. Then, caulk the corners and edges with more silicone.
Silicone's going to do 2 things. It's going to waterproof the bottom of the form, and it's going to ease the edge of the countertop.
So that will round it over a little bit more?
Yeah, we'll give the countertop a nice round over.
You can tool the caulk joint smooth with your finger or just use a 3/8 dowel cut at a 45-degree angle. Once the silicone has cured, the paste wax will allow the excess caulk to just peel right off. Vacuum the inside of the form and wipe it down with acetone to make sure it's perfectly clean. Once the form is ready, it's time to mix the concrete. You can use a basic concrete mix, or you can add some creative elements to it. You'll need to work fast, so you may want to rent a concrete mixer. For this project, the first batch of concrete contains sand, cement, a polymer that makes the concrete stronger, and a pigment that will give it color. You can pour in the first layer of concrete or use a sprayer.
This air sprayer that I'm using puts down a nice 1/4-inch layer of concrete that will give us a nice smooth surface for the countertop.
Now here's where you can get creative by adding aggregate, small pieces of stone, glass, or shells that will show through when the countertop is finished and polished. The second batch of concrete is the same as the first, but we added glass fibers to give it strength. Pour and spread the concrete into the form in lifts or layers, about 3/8 of an inch thick. Now you'll need to vibrate and compact the concrete to remove any air bubbles. You could tap the form with a rubber mallet, or you could use a random orbit sander with no paper. You could also use a roller to compact the concrete into a dense layer. After the first layer is vibrated and compacted, it's time for the second layer. Just repeat the same process.
Okay guys, that looks great. So we're not going to pour a 2-inch thick concrete countertop. It's not necessary. It's going to be way too heavy and the concrete's strong enough without it. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to use this 1-inch rigid piece of foam to fill up the space. So let's set it in. So we're going to keep it 3 inches away from the face edges. And now we're going to use strapping to hold it in place. So that just gets screwed to the sides. Good, so that will keep the foam from floating up. Now we're just going to fill around the perimeter with the rest of the concrete.
All the way up to the top?
All the way up to the top, and you want to make sure you get it right underneath all those boards too.
All right, it's been 3 days since we poured the concrete.
See what we've got.
Let's see how we did. Allow the concrete to dry and cure for at least 3 to 4 days. Then remove the strapping and use a 4-inch grinder with a diamond cup wheel to grind the concrete flush with the form. You can leave the rigid foam in if you like, or you can just pry it out and vacuum up the small pieces. Remove the sides of the form, lightly sand the bottom edge, and then separate the concrete countertop from the melamine.
I'm going to drive in this putty knife and then push shims in right next to it, and that will pop it free. All right, guys, I'm going to lift it up. You're going to push it to me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Hold it on its edge. Okay.
Okay, ready?
Ready.
You can use a 4-inch wet grinder with a diamond pad to smooth the surface and reveal the aggregate beneath. The grinder will also expose a few holes caused by air bubbles. You can fill the holes with slurry, which is the same concrete mix, but with no aggregate or fibers. Spread the slurry on the entire countertop and let it cure. The slurry will take about 8 to 10 hours to cure. Then sand the surface with regular sandpaper. Start with 80 grit, then change to 100 grit, and finally go to 220 grit paper. The last step before installing your new countertops is to apply a sealer. You'll need several coats and you should reapply it every year. Choose a food-safe option if your countertop will be used in the kitchen. The hard work is now done. Just set the countertops on your cabinets and add some construction adhesive underneath. As you can see, there are many steps involved in creating your own concrete countertops. So before you tackle an entire room, it might be a good idea to practice on a smaller scale. That way, you can perfect your technique and experiment with different colors and aggregates to ensure that you get exactly the countertops you want.